Recording in progress.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's meeting. Today is Tuesday, February the 21st, 2023. The time is now 6 p.m. The regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Trinidad will now come to order. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Frank, could you please lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for attending tonight. Appreciate your attendance. A roll call, please.
Devono.
Here.
Priego. Here. Ogletree. Here. Shu.
Here.
Thurman.
Here.
Williamson.
Present.
Rico.
Here. Item 2, approval of the agendas. Council have any changes they would like to make to the agenda? Hearing none, entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second. Second. Entertain a vote.
Devono.
Yes.
Griego.
Yes.
Ogletree.
Yes.
Shu.
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes.
Williamson.
Yes.
Rico.
Yes. Item 3, policy items and staff reports. Mr. Ruger, I think, are you with us tonight, I believe?
Yes.
Do you have anything?
Yes, I'm here by Zoom and nothing tonight.
Okay, thank you. Item 4, petitions or communications or written. Do you have anyone signed up? Okay, we have Mel Bayo. Please come forward.
Good evening.
Hi.
Hi, Matt.
I love this. How much did you pay him?
Yeah, he just said he gets 6 minutes.
He's regular at the gym.
That's
My name's Melvin Vallejo. I'm here to address the City Council on the issue of loose dogs. My wife walks our dog religiously twice or at least or 3 times a day, every day. We have had, and my wife mostly has had many issues with dogs unleashed or just running around. I had 2 near disaster incidents that I'd like to talk about. One was north of town at the truck stop. Loose dog came out, ran right to our dog. If any person or dog rushes my wife, our dog defends her to the death. A dog fight ensued, and it came that close to disaster. I was this close to doing something drastic to save my dog if that owner hadn't come out and grabbed his dog. That was the first incident. I know it's outside the city limits. The point is, loose dogs. Second incident was at Kit Carson Park. There's 4 or 5 loose dogs running around. I yelled at them, put your dogs on a leash. And then one of the dogs, sure as heck, comes running towards us. My dog starts to get agitated. I start yelling very loud, and I can shatter the walls with my voice because I have a loud voice. I started yelling, no, no, no. 2 people, I was halfway down the hill on the east side. 2 people came running down, one with a cane, struck me, knocked my phone out of my hand, and the other guy, I don't know if I can mention names or not, he's the owner of a dog grooming place here in town. They were both running up in my face. I have pictures and video, by the way. The guy struck me with his cane. He was in a wheelchair. I don't know if he's trying to fool somebody to think he's wheelchair bound. He wasn't. He came running down the hill, struck me with the cane. I was this close to grabbing that cane and beating the both of them with it, which I could have. But then what would have happened next? That's what I'm asking City Council. What would have happened next? The whole issue was brought about by loose dogs. There's very few signs around town that say your dogs have to be on a leash. There's several people, and I've seen them again and again, walking with dogs without a leash, again and again. And this incident in Kit Carson Park that was near catastrophic was because both of those people were there with 5 loose dogs. And I don't know who the guy who was pretending to be an invalid in the wheelchair was that struck me with his cane. I'd never seen him before. But the point is, loose dogs. It's not an item to be overlooked. It's not an item to be just not thought of. It's a serious issue, especially when I go to Denver quite a bit. My wife is alone for a month at a time. She walks our dog all the time. And she walks them everywhere, but she can't walk in this one particular place because of the one guy that was involved in the incident. But that's beside the point. Point is, I feel comfortable with my wife walking our dog, because our dog will defend my wife to the death. Kids come up and want to pin our dog. She's a pretty dog. As long as they ask permission, our dog sniffs their hand, they can pin her. They can pet her, and she's fine with that. But if somebody or a person or a loose dog rushes my wife, my dog will defend her, and that's the whole point. And again, I'm not always with my wife. Our wife runs into that same issue, walking somewhere and there's a loose dog running around, or an owner or somebody with a loose dog that's not on a leash. And their line of defense was, oh, my dog's friendly. So, my dog's friendly. So, I mean, use your head. My dog's not friendly. My dog will defend my wife.
You have 1 minute, sir.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's okay. So that's the point I'm trying to make, loose dogs, and there's not enough signs around town. And several people consistently walk their dogs with no leash. They think, I don't know if they think they're above the law, they're entitled or what, but it's an important issue. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that's had this problem, because a lot of people here, and we always do the right thing. If there's a loose dog, we leave. If there's a potential of a dog without a leash, we leave. We always do the right thing. And this incident in Kit Carson Park, my wife struggled to get our dog back in the car, because these loose dogs are all over the place. That's the issue, loose dogs. There should be more signs and more responsibility in, try to put in these people's heads. Their dog's friendly. So my dog's friendly. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Bagel, point well taken, and we'll speak about addressing something.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Paul Ricker?
Hello, Tom. I live in Levita. I'd like to give you this invitation. I've been providing therapy for PTSD since 1985. Learned from a fellow in Colorado Springs, Dan Roden, who's a clinical hypnotherapist. He's addressing 5 underlying emotional fixations an hour. His speed at resolving things is unmatched. Dan Roden passed in the late 1990s. I made a presentation to the Department of Defense and passed scientific review by the Department of Defense. And silly me, I actually thought that the psychologists who worked for the Department of Defense wanted to see the problems resolved. They won't be hired by someone who's not a member of their association. So, here I am today before you. I've developed a reading program for children. That is, children don't have an attention span to be able to read, they're not comprehending, and they're not recalling, primarily in incidents where the family's broken, the child may have been molested or abused, and out of that abuse, they're not capable of a single thought. They're still processing fear. So, on March 10th, I'm going to have a program over at Trinidad College. You're all invited. I'd like you to come and see the video where I passed scientific review for the Department of Defense, a woman who was raped and molested from age 4 to age 13 by her older cousin. And in here, you can see her processing a new emotional assignment to a past event at a rate of 4 to 6 minutes each. So in this, the reprocessing emotionally of the event and then being able to read one sentence. What did the sentence say? Read one paragraph. What did the paragraph say? So the child's not going through words. They're going through, what do I hear that sentence say? What did I hear the paragraph say? And then continue, because that's the basis of comprehension or recall. Review. So this is real, to me, this is real simple. But what isn't simple, as you'll see on the invitation, is there's no credential for this. There's no credential to heal the underlying fear of an incident and teach reading at the same time. So I'm intent to bring forward a credential in the state of Colorado so that this can move forward, because this is a problem we have in Syria war, in Ukraine war, sex trafficking, and all the other things that happen for children who don't develop. So, this is my introduction of myself to you, and I sure hope you can come on March 10th. That's the invitation.
Okay, thank you for the invite. Appreciate
Thank
the
you.
information. Do you want these back?
Those are yours. If you'll post them somewhere,
Sure.
there may be someone else.
Thank you.
Shall I stay?
Not necessarily. You want to
Okay.
stay?
You can if you want, but you
Yeah,
don't
no,
have to, so.
okay. Phone number and contacts on the poster.
Okay, thank you very
Thank
much.
Thank you.
Before I get this next one, we have Hania Rishu and Alex Turner.
Okay.
Uh,
You want to make sure these are the same. Excuse me, Mayor, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, then we'll give you a copy, if that's okay. I'm sorry, Mayor.
We have Hania Rishu, I guess, and Alex Turner. They want to speak, but however, we are going to be having a public hearing at 6 o'clock on April the 4th, but they want to speak tonight. Is that an issue of any kind?
Now, who does, Mayor? I'm sorry.
Alex, this is concerning the new hotel liquor license filed by Almax.
Yeah, I would say it's not appropriate. I mean, it's not like you're being ex parte. And if they have anything they want to say that's not really germane to their liquor license application, then that would be okay.
And it does say liquor license, so they do want to talk about the liquor license.
Yeah, so I would ask that they please wait until they have their hearing.
Okay.
Please, it's very nice of you to be here and to be here early. You were nodding your head, so I'm assuming it's the two of you. Yeah, so if you don't mind, and we will afford you an opportunity to say basically anything you want to in support of your application. Please. They're a quasi-judicial body and they're not supposed to really hear, like lobbying from you prior to the hearing on your license application.
We're new to this, so I just wanted to make sure.
Welcome to our world. It's very nice of you to be here. And thank you. And I'll be calling you. You'll be hearing from a lot of us.
Right.
Okay,
Thank you for your understanding.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay. Item 5, consent agenda approval. 5A, approval of the regular meeting minutes of February the 7th, 2023. Item B, new hotel and restaurant liquor license application filed by Almax LLC doing business as Almax Kitchen at 443 North Commercial Street. Set for the public hearing at 6 p.m. on April 4th, 2023. And the tentative neighborhood boundary as the city's corporate limits. Item C, approval of reports of changes of corporation liquor license filed by Ecocapoline Incorporating doing business as Tequila's Family Mexican Restaurant and 9900 Santa Fe Trail. What that is a transfer of owners, not ownership, but primary ownership from Edgar Garcia to Edgar Garcia. He will be a 55% owner, removing Jose Manuel Garcia because he's deceased.
Correct.
Item D, approval of permanent modification of premises application by Safeway Stores 46 Incorporated doing business at a Safeway store, 722 at 457 West Main Street. The only question I had on that, and who's reviewed that modification has?
Staff has, Mayor, I mean, and you have, the materials in your packet, but we have diagrams of what they are wanting to do in
Yeah.
support of selling wine
That's what it was.
at Safeway. Yes, sir.
Okay. I saw that, I remember, okay. Item E, approval of the bills for oops, I got an oops in here, 288 something, 842,003 cents. So I got an oops, I didn't fill it all in. Item F, approval of the payroll, February 4th, 2023 through February the 17th, 2023, in the amount of $447,709.90. Entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second?
Second?
Call the roll, please.
DeBono,
Yes.
Griego,
Yes.
Ogletree,
Yes.
Shu,
Yes.
Thurman,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Rico.
Yes. Item 6, public hearings. We have an annexation, and the item actually, any of the items on the annexation, 6A, A1, A2, those items, we will not, because they have withdrawn their application for annexation, so we'll eliminate that item.
Yes, and Mayor, if we could please have a motion
Okay.
in a second and a vote,
Okay.
please, to vacate the hearing to allow the withdrawal of the annexation petition.
Okay, so I will entertain a motion for vacating that annexation.
So moved.
Second,
Second?
do you want to list the items on there to make sure on your motion?
Do we need to?
I think we're okay, Mayor. I think it's
It would
just
be just
everything.
that.
All
Right, so
Okay,
everything is-
the annexation for the Maverick annexation, would that be enough?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. That's good. Thank
we have a first and a second, call the vote, please.
DeBono,
Yes.
Griego,
Yes.
Ogletree,
Yes.
Shu,
Yes.
Thurman,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Rico.
Yes. Item B, public hearing for consideration of an ordinance amending chapter 4, animals, article 3, dogs and cats, section 4-24, keeping of dangerous dogs prohibited, of the code of the city of Trinidad to include penalty for violation. Hearing is open. Ms. Sandoval, I don't think she's here. Do you want
So,
to?
absolutely, Mayor and council members. I know we've spoken about this a couple of times in the past, but this is the proposed ordinance that, if it approved by you, would increase the fine for vicious dog.
Okay,
Okay, and I do want to tell you, I'm sorry, Mayor, I don't mean to interrupt you, but the $300 minimum fine that is referenced, it can be waived in part by the judge. If there are real mitigating circumstances, it can be reduced, but obviously, as we heard from Mr. Vallejo, vicious dogs, so not only dogs at large, but vicious dogs are a real problem. And I'm not saying it's likely that the fine is going to be lowered, especially the minimum, but I just want to let you know that can be done.
can it be higher in the case of?
It can be.
If there's an incident like, he was
Yes.
talking about? or
Yes,
that-
and the range is from $300 not to exceed $2,650. So she could hit someone real hard financially.
That would be an interesting thing to do, like he was talking about signage.
Yeah.
And
Would that be
maybe
included in that?
put that on the sign, maybe that, violation of
Right.
an incident like that, the signs can go all the way up.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good idea, to have signs that say that if you don't have your dog leashed, or, well, if you have a vicious dog, you could be facing a fine of up to $2,650. That's a real deterrent for someone to have an unleashed vicious dog.
Yeah, but you want dogs, not just vicious dogs, but all
No.
dogs.
You're right, you're absolutely right, Councilman Chu, I'm just saying that this ordinance pertains
Just
to
the vicious.
vicious dog, yes, sir.
So,
What constitutes a vicious dog if it's loose? I mean, and say nips at something, is that a vicious dog? Where does it cross the line?
That would be a vicious dog. If it bites somebody, that's basically, that's evidence really per se of being a vicious dog. There are a lot of exceptions though, because if you reach your hand into a car window and get bit, that's not vicious dog. If a dog is protecting its property and bites someone, it's not a vicious dog. But if a dog is in a park, now if it's on, and every case is different, and every case has, aggravating circumstances and potentially mitigating circumstances. But if somebody has a dog on a leash and like two dogs fight, then it's hard to argue really that it's a vicious dog.
Right.
Any dog may do that under the right circumstances, but the important thing is that a person be controlling their animal and not letting it go after someone. There are circumstances though, if somebody didn't like somebody, they could have the dog on a leash and it's barking at someone, they let it go up to the person and they get bit. So there are a lot of different variables.
Do we have a definition in our ordinances of what a vicious dog is?
We do, yes. Yes, ma'am.
And what do we have for enforcement? I mean, are we gonna talk to our animal control officers that if the person doesn't have a dog leashed and he sees them, would they be ticketed or at least talked to?
They're supposed to be, and if a person knows who the owner of the dog is, we're about to talk about the other ordinance, but if they know who the owner of the dog is and they report someone for having a dog off a leash, they can get a ticket. It's important that they know who the person is though, right? Because if it's just someone who's in the park and then they're gone and they don't know, but they will get a ticket for having a dog unleashed. Yes.
Other questions? Anyone in the audience or listening in wants to speak on behalf on this issue? Mr. Bio, being that you talked about this, is there anything that you would like to add to this? This is an opportunity for you to add something if you wish. Yes.
Yeah, that was another thing I didn't bring up was vicious dogs, and this gentleman brought up what the definition would be. As I said before, my dog will vigorously defend my wife if it rushed. So, and this gentleman over here brought up a good point that if my dog goes into a fight after that happens, our dog is not a vicious dog. And that's kind of why, because our dog will instantly defend my wife, no hesitation if she's rushed, or even another dog. But like I said before, kids pet my dog because she's pretty. But she sniffs their hands and they come up and pet her and she loves it. So I guess I want to say she's not a vicious dog, but she will defend my wife to the death if rushed. So yeah, that's an important point. If a dog is defending their property or their owner, that's not a vicious dog. But yeah, I'm glad the city council is addressing that.
Okay. That answers some of the questions that you had.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Hearing none, here is closed. Item B1, second reading of an ordinance amending Chapter 4 Animals, Article 3 Dogs and Cats, Section 4-24, keeping the dangerous dogs prohibited of the City Code of the City of Trinidad to include penalty for violation. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Call the vote, please.
DeBono,
Yes.
Griego,
Yes.
Ogletree,
Yes.
Shu,
Yes.
Thurman,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Rico.
Yes. Item C, public hearing for consideration of an ordinance amending Chapter 4 Animals, Article 3 Dogs and Cats, Section 4-18, Dogs Running at Large of the Code of the City of Trinidad to redefine owner. Hearing is now open. Mr. Downs.
Thank you, Mayor and Council members. And I should say, I know the council communication says redefine owner, as you just said, Mayor, and it's really not redefining owner, but it is saying either an owner or a person who is responsible for a dog, or a person in possession of a dog is responsible to make sure they keep the dog restrained. So as I was telling council previously, we have a number of people who say, they get a ticket, they have a dog at large, and they say, oh, that's not my dog. And if we can't prove ownership, which is kind of hard to do, with something like a dog, then it really is something that makes it hard to prosecute. And like I told you, kind of experienced that the hard way because I tried prosecuting someone and the judge said, no, it's only an owner of a dog. If they're just in possession of the dog, you can't prosecute them. So this fixes that problem, that very large loophole.
Okay, questions from council?
What's the penalty for a dog at large?
The penalty remains the same, and I'm forgetting what the fine range is, but it's not as high as what you just amended vicious dog to. If Ms. Sandoval was here, she could tell you, but it's, $40 court costs. I'm not sure what the minimum is, but I think it's around $50.
If those dogs are picked up, go ahead. If those dogs are picked up and they're brought to the pound, do they have to pay the pound fee to get them out?
They do. It depends on.
Oh, I mean, and then we're issued with who owns the dog.
Right.
But
Yes, if it gets processed in and is in Noah's Ark, there is a fee for the release. Also, they check to make sure the dog has all its vaccinations, that the dog is neutered or spayed. So yes, there could be a lot of expenses associated with having your dog impounded.
it's just kind of clarified to the audience. So they know
Yes,
exactly what it is.
yes.
So, I mean, not to be too far down in the weeds, but this is pertaining to a dog at large, so that at that point, you still have to have some person that had initial control of the dog, or not necessarily?
Yes, I mean, what frequently happens is a dog will escape from somebody's yard, let's say, and is running around. The animal control officer will get the dog, bring it home, and the person at the house will say, well, that's my son's dog, right? That happens a lot. Or that's somebody, it lives here, but I'm not the owner of the dog. So now, that person will still be cited.
That's good clarification.
Yeah. I should have said that a long time ago.
Here's a question that I'm not sure if you really know the answer to. When a dog is picked up, and let's say it's held for a period of time, a short period of time, and let's say, is that can they neuter or spay that dog without that owner knowing? And let's say they neuter or spay the dog, then all of a sudden the dog somebody says, that's my dog,
Right.
and he's been spayed or neutered, what happens then?
Well, I would say I don't know definitively, but I think necessity is kind of the mother of invention, right? In terms of right now, it might be, we would probably err on the side of trying to get the dog restored to its rightful owner, right? Because just of how things are. But in an ideal world, I would say that the policy would probably be at Noah's Ark to keep the dog and make sure that absolutely make sure it's vaccinated and spayed or neutered.
After a certain hold time, and I don't know how many days specifically that is, but the dog is held for X amount of days, and if nobody claims the dog after that, then there is no ownership attached to that dog, and then the shelter has to do the necessary medical on the animal.
Yeah, that just popped up in my mind, and that would be the question to ask. So. Okay, anyone in the audience or listening in would like to comment on this particular hearing? Hearing none, hearing is closed. Item C1, second reading of an ordinance amending Chapter 4, Animals, Article 3, Dogs and Cats, Section 4-18, Dogs running at large of the Code of the City of Trinidad to redefine owner. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any further discussion? Call a vote, please.
DeBono?
Yes.
Griego?
Yes.
Ogletree?
Yes.
Shu?
Oh, yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Williamson?
Yes.
Rico?
Yes. Item D, public hearing for consideration of first reading of an ordinance amending Trinidad Municipal Code, Chapter 17, Streets and Sidewalks, Article 2, numbering buildings, Section 17-25, size and location configuration. Hearing is now open, and Ms. Pelham, or who's going to give us information on that? Ms. Garrett?
Mayor and City Council, this item is being brought to you to improve upon public safety. What our police department has encountered in the past, and so has fire department, is the lack of visible addresses from the street, making it hard for them to quickly identify houses that they need to be responding to. So the request is that you adopt the ordinance, and our code enforcement will work with people to try to get them to address their homes and the commercial properties, their businesses, so that their safety is improved.
Okay. Council, have any questions?
And the buildings that have been vacated that don't have a notice of prior ownership?
Are you talking about vacant buildings?
Yes.
I don't know that we necessarily have a plan to install lettering ourselves on those. We certainly could though. A lot of those homes or properties have been boarded up. We can lien properties, so we can certainly number them and add to the lien if we wanted to do that. It wouldn't be a costly item to do it regardless.
Would it be a good idea to have the Chronicle News write a little article about that and to explain to them what we're trying to do with the safety issue of putting their
Like, yes, it
addresses?
sure
Good
would.
idea. Put my picture in the paper. I'm sorry.
Is that something that you willing to do? Okay, if you would get with, I'm not sure, get with you or Les to
Police,
get.
fire would probably be the very
Fire
best. Those are
department,
the ones that.
get the right verbiage, okay? All right, please do. Thank you.
So if code enforcement goes around, they find that people haven't done it after a reasonable amount of time, there's no stick that we're putting into this so that they have a fine or something if they don't, or how are we going to encourage this?
I will look at the ordinance and see, but I'm best guess is it's a requirement, and so it would have a penalty associated with it.
Do we have some kind of uniformity to make all these changes look together, or is this depending on the owner or the?
Just size and the contrast, but as far as font or something along those lines, that's up to the homeowner.
I think the letter size is the, what, 2 inches, I think?
Right.
Minimum 2
In
inches.
width.
In the width, right, yeah, so it's visible. But they want them to be contrasting with the house color so that they can be seen.
The other thing that might be of interest too is that, you know, some of the homes that may be a little obscure, for lighting of some sort, to be able to do either regular electrical lighting, and in today's case, you can get a pretty cheap, light, you know, stick in the ground to help
And
them
that
see
looks
it.
like,
That'd be good. Other questions? Anyone in the audience wants to comment on this particular hearing or signage? Hearing none, hearing is closed. First reading of an ordinance, amending Trinidad Municipal Code, Chapter 17, Streets and Sidewalks, Article 2, numbering of buildings, Section 17-25, size and location of configuration. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any further discussion? Hearing none, call a vote, please.
Question?
DeBono,
Yes, was that a big question?
That was a yes.
Yeah, I guess call a vote then.
Greenhill,
Yes.
Ogletree,
Yes.
Shu,
Yes.
Thurman,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Rico.
Yes. Item 7, unfinished business, we have none. Item 8, miscellaneous business, consideration of appointment of Elliot Lopez to the Corazon Trinidad Historic Main Street Board. Ms. Lopez, you want to come forward, please? Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
Mayor Council.
could you tell us why you want to do this?
Oh, I will tell you, I also brought a resume. Take one down, pass them around.
Thank you.
So first things first, on the second page, you see what the requirement is to be on the Main Street Board, which is to be an owner or a leasee of a commercial property in Trinidad. I did enter into a commercial lease in 2001 for 308 West Main Street. So I am within that parameter. Second of all, well, when I first was approached to join the Horizon de Trinidad Historic Main Street Board, I'll be honest, I wasn't quite sure what it was about. So I spent the last 2 weeks really researching very hard about what the Main Street Board is and why it's important, and going through and getting as many resources as I can. There's a ton of resources out there from Main Street America, which is what DOLA, creates these boards for. I've learned a great deal. Although I am a new entrepreneur to Trinidad, you'll see from my resume I did a lot of administration as an ICU charge nurse and as an ICU nurse in general. I'm really good with organization. I'm really good with working as a team member, and I'm good at getting things done. And I think that would be an asset on the Main Street Board because it's about entrepreneurship and restoring historic areas of commerce. So, yeah.
Good. Questions for him?
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for putting input.
Questions?
You're going to do a great job. Thank you.
Appreciate you, Nick.
Yeah, thank you for
Thank you.
your interest.
Yeah, thank you for putting in your resume for it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Is there anything else? Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
There's no further questions. Entertain, call the vote, please.
DeBona,
Yes.
Griego,
Yes.
Ogletree,
Yes.
Shu,
Yes.
Thurman,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Rico.
Yes. Item B, consideration of purchase of the 2023 Terex LT40 4 to 5 F550 for the power and light department through custom truck, one source in the amount of $150,674, inclusive of freight. Entertain a motion?
So
Second.
Second. Discussion. Is Mr. Machicha here?
No.
You're going to talk?
Yes,
Give us your name, please.
Paul Cordova.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Paul Cordova. I'm the foreman for the city of Trinidad, Power and Light. I'm here for consideration of a bid for a smaller bucket truck to replace E2. E2 is a 2001 Ford with approximately 105,000 miles and a ton of idle hours. It's beginning to show its age and having a lot of issues. Right now it needs tires and it has a ton of oil leaks. It's gonna be like over $3,000 just to fix that. It seems like every time we fix something, something else goes wrong with it. Our meter tech who drives it, he's actually going between two different trucks to try to save it to when he actually needs to go up on a pole. The new truck is from Custom Trucks. It is, like you said, $150,674. They are a source well company, so I don't believe we need any other bids. Trucks right now, they're really, really hard to get, so we do have one that we can purchase. Actually, this is the second one. The first one they were holding for us sold. So, we don't have much time to be able to purchase this one if they're gonna hold it for us. Any questions?
Questions from council?
Answer?
Has a certified mechanic looked at this?
Yes, our mechanics have been through it several times. Like I said, they've fixed a lot of things on it just to try to keep it going. Like I said, it's a 2001 model. It's 22 years old. It's more than well served its time. Normally, a person doesn't keep a bucket truck more than 10 years. So it's more than double its life.
So we just purchased
A bigger derrick.
six 550s. They are equipped differently.
Right.
At my place of work. And in order to get those, we had to be super flexible and act on the spot. I can't even imagine going through the process that we do. It's super difficult. So
Well,
I just want to commend you guys for finding this, getting it on a I presume, a verbal hold for this to take place? Because
Very much, yes.
the price, and I have a real good understanding of the hoops you've jumped through. I appreciate it. Good price. I think
I mean,
it's great.
we've had a digger derrick on order now for over 2 years and we still haven't received it.
No, this is good.
Other questions?
Yeah, only question is, you talked to Cheryl about financing it? How are they going to fleet or?
I believe so. I think it would be purchased with marijuana money.
Mr. Ruger, can you answer that question?
Mayor, yes, it is marijuana money and we have it in the budget to purchase it. So we're good to go on this one.
I have a question, I'm sorry, I
Yes,
don't
ma'am.
know if you can answer. Because these new trucks that we're purchasing are pretty high-tech, I'm assuming, can they be fixed in-house with our mechanic, or is there some special?
I believe most of them can be fixed in-house. I know he's been upgrading on a lot of tools and stuff that he does need, so I believe it can be serviced
Okay.
through the city.
Other questions? You know, a while back, we purchased a piece of equipment and to jump on it. We didn't do like we did the last time, is we put a down payment on it even before it came to council. We didn't do anything like that with this, did we? Tie it up? To make sure that.
Mr. Mayor, we signed a letter of commitment for it pending council's authorization, so they are holding it for us. But no, we did not put a down payment on this one or anything like that.
Okay, well, at least, you know, you put a signed letter of commitment, that's good.
Yes, so they are holding it.
Okay, any other questions? Other questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, hearing none, call the vote.
DeBona?
Yes.
Griego?
Yes.
Ogletree?
Yes.
Shu?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Williamson?
Yes.
Rico?
Yes, and it's complete, you don't have to add anything to it afterwards. Okay. All right, thank you very much.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item C, first reading of an ordinance authorizing the master equipment lease purchase agreement dated March 1st, 2023 between the city as lessee and community leasing partners for the acquisition of a new Terex Commander Digger Derrick truck and setting a hearing date for consideration of said ordinance to 6 p.m. on March 7th, 2023. And that is in the amount of $323,303.50. Need someone to introduce?
I'll introduce.
Entertain a motion?
So moved.
Second? Discussion? Who has information? Ms. Garrett?
So as was mentioned with the previous item, if council will recall, you authorized purchase of a digger derrick truck back in late October 2021. It's now at the point where we can get it ordered, but we need to have the lease agreement in place. The interest rate will be 4.92%. We are going to pay $50,000 down. We will be paying $36,607 in interest over the 5-year span. And the agreement also has the required table language within. So the recommendation is that council approves the ordinance so that we can acquire this truck that's been on order for quite some time now.
And it's a 5-year lease from what I.
That's correct, 5-year lease.
Okay. Questions from council?
So what happens at the end of the 5-year lease?
What happens at the end of the, well, it's a lease purchase.
Oh, it's a lease purchase.
I'm sorry, yes, a lease purchase.
Okay. I just thought it was a straight up lease.
No, I'm sorry, lease purchase.
Okay.
Other questions?
Do we have one that we're using now, or we don't have one at all?
Digger derrick,
Yeah, we have one.
I wanna say we do, but it's very outdated. I don't have information on that truck, but yeah, we do, I'm sure.
Other questions? Okay. And then again, not sure, is this available now or is this kind of like?
No, that's my understanding, it's available, so in order to take delivery, we need to execute the master lease purchase agreement.
Okay. Any other questions?
Transportation cost included?
The delivery cost?
Yeah.
I'm going to say it is, but I will look into that and verify. I'm gonna have to verify that.
Any other questions? Call the vote, please.
DeBona,
Yes.
Griego,
Yes.
Ogletree. Yes. Shu.
Yes.
Thurman.
Yeah.
Williamson,
Yes.
Rico.
Yes. Thank you. Item 9, council reports. Mr. DeBona.
I don't have anything this week.
Okay.
Nothing for me either.
Wow.
I am a slacker. Don't say anything because I'm a senior citizen and it's
I got to attend the marketplace opening the other night, and that was really fun. And I got to meet Randy Gradishaw, who I guess is a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
I did not know him because I wasn't a Broncos fan.
Oh.
But he was a really nice guy. But it was great to see that place energized, and I'm looking forward to people making more use of it because it's a good spot.
No, never.
Wanted to bring it up for a future update, a future meeting. I know it's continuing and ongoing, but it just, and it is at the end of the season, I get that, but there are some exceptional potholes around town that I've been getting some, people commenting on, so I think it'd just be important that we have a plan and that we make the public aware of that, because I know there's issues with hot patch being available. And it's a whole thing that we need to do, so I think it's something that we should discuss. Then also, we have ARPA coming up, so I should have an update on that at the next meeting.
Just to mention, while he mentioned potholes, I was noticing today there's a really bad one over here by the bridge.
2 of them. One on each
Yeah.
side.
And Arizona has a,
It's really deep, so, if you would have, street and bridge contact, that hole's gotta be a good 6 inches deep. It's pretty good size. I mentioned this a while back, Mr. Brewer and I, we talked about the Mitchell Museum. Are we going to give that any more consideration? What I recommended that day that we toured the museum about maybe helping them a little bit if we can. Is that something that's still on your mind, Mr. Brewer?
Mayor, on the Trinidad History Museum?
At the, no, the Mitchell Museum, the damages that were done.
Oh, the Mitchell Museum, the damages. So yeah, you had mentioned giving them money. When I've spoken with Allison, they're applying for a DOLA grant that assists with emergency recovery that would cover pretty much everything they need, including their insurance premium, that or the deductible they have to pay. So right now, it looks like they're in good shape and really don't need any assistance from us.
One of the things that I thought is to help them with their deductible and also maybe with because their heating expenses just went through the roof because of that. I mean, you could see daylight. So that's why I brought it up with him. So if they're going to get taken care of by DOLA, that's good.
Mayor?
Mayor, I will stay in contact with them, and if anything does come up, I will let the council know.
How severe was that damage?
I
To the
think
paintings and
there
things?
was no damage to the paintings. The damage was to the wall because it collapsed in and mud actually came into that back. If you've ever been to the basement,
Yes.
there was probably that much mud part to the back. And then there was, like I said, there's a hole and air was coming through there. And then the smoke, there was no smoke damage, but just the scent of the smoke got inside the building and they had to cancel their, one of the events for that weekend. Yeah. So that was the biggest problem. But they didn't have any damage to any smoke damage inside other than just the smell. Okay. And like I said, we had the State of the City event a couple of weeks ago. Unfortunately, the weather was not very conducive for people to get out. We didn't have a whole lot of people, but I still gave it anyhow. It's been on YouTube and Trinidad Times 21, both, correct? So thank you for doing that. I also attended the Market Bar grand opening this last Saturday night, the ribbon cutting. And I did want to talk a little bit. I attended the CML policy meeting this last week. I was on Friday, go over a couple of things that of interest. And actually, I had to leave the meeting because at noontime, but there was still some items that they wanted to discuss. But there were some items that I listened to There's a Senate Bill 23-109, and it was, what I can do is I can forward all of this information to Mr. Ruber, and he could send it out to you guys. But it was criminal penalty controlled substance supplier. There's some information on that. Public employees workplace protection. That was Senate Bill 23-111 for unfair labor practices in public employment. That's kind of what that's about. There was also a building codes accessibility, which bill requires all new construction projects to provide at least 15% dwelling units that meet specific design criteria for use for people with disabilities, and to require builders to create an implementation plan that guarantees the timely and evenly phased delivery of required number of accessible units. And there's a bunch of other stuff. But they want to oppose that item. They just feel like it's too much again toward the housing, because I spoke up and I said anytime that they stick something like this in, all it does is raise the cost of housing more so than it is today. The criminal justice one that I just mentioned, they are in support of that. That public employees protection, they want to oppose that, by the way. They also had a Protecting Opportunities and Workers' Rights Act, and they're talking about opposing that as well. There was also a municipal courts criminal justice advisement during custodial interrogation. Requires that for a statement made during a custodial interrogation to be admissible against a person in criminal proceeding, they must be advised of specific rights prior to making the statements. And I thought that was already in place.
Yeah, it's called Miranda.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
That's right, nice.
Yeah. And I don't know, they
We
just,
have that in Colorado.
Yeah, I know, right, yeah.
and of course, they want to oppose that unless amended. They have some thoughts about amending it, and who knows, we'll see what happens. And there was another municipal courts. I said, you're full of a lot of stuff this time.
That's what they said.
This is a remote public access to criminal court proceedings. They're talking about that again, and they're talking about opposing that unless amended as well. Another one is transportation cameras on school buses for student safety. They want it, and there's a unfunded mandate again. Proposed unless amended, and all it would do is add costs to school districts, which, you know, they're struggling right now for and their budgets. They also have a transportation retail delivery fee that went into effect last year, whatever it was, and they're talking to do some additional stuff with this also. But they also want to oppose that besides that. This one was a good one. Requiring labeling disposable wipes.
What?
Requires manufacturers, wholesalers, suppliers, and retailers responsible for the labeling, the packaging of specific wipes to include a clear "Do Not Flush" label on the packaging. These types of wipes do not break down like toilet paper and are frequently improperly disposed of down toilets. So anyway, for whatever reason, they got a lot of pushback on it, but they want to support that. But I guess that creates a problem in our wastewater system. That's a wastewater system. Evidently, people are just being careless.
Yeah, that's good.
They're back on the wildfire homeowners insurance, underinsurance. Increase to the notice requirement for when an insurer is canceling or refusing to renew a homeowner's insurance policy to 60 days. I guess right now it's 30 days.
Yeah.
You're supposed to do with this. They're talking about supporting that. There's also a beer and liquor alcohol beverages retail establishment permit. We did that special events from, it was $100, remember the maximum?
Right.
I think now the limitation is $200 if you want to go that high. They might consider that. Talking about supporting that. There was a behavior health bill. Building codes, access to government by persons with a disability. That was pretty well talked about. talked about, having access in every municipal building where a local government conducts business be fully and independently accessible by a person with physical disability who uses a mobility device.
And that's called the ADA.
That's called the ADA.
Yeah.
But I don't know if ADA spells out in every building where, I would think so.
I think so.
I would think, because I don't understand why they're trying to
Yeah.
reinvent the wheel here. Building codes, rural, county, municipal, energy, efficient building codes, back on the efficiency again. It says under current law, municipalities must adopt certain energy efficient building codes when they update their building codes on or after July 1, 2023 and before July 1, 2026. HB 23-1085 extends the compliance period for adoption and enforcement of the energy codes of a rural municipality. A rural municipality is defined as having a population of less than 10,000 people. This bill also allows a rural municipality to adopt a less current model code than what is currently required by law if it is applied for and had not been awarded a grant that significantly assists with the energy code adoption and enforcement training. So that's a mouthful, but it's, there again, they're talking about supporting that. I said no, I didn't support it myself. He talked about crime victim services funding. Requires the General Assembly to appropriate the following for crime victim services: $3 million to victims and witnesses, $4.5 million to state victims assistance, $7.5 million to state domestic violence and sexual assault services, or domestic violence, sexual assault for culturally specific programs. Talk about supporting that. Deletion of child's name from criminal justice records. And they're talking about, under most conditions, to remove what is the age less on something like that, right now, I guess they're able to let the name of a child, if there's a child, I guess, is a witness. What is that age that they're able to?
It's generally under the age of 18 that they are considered a child, and they want to be able to keep, a child witness. They've always done that with child victims, but they want to be able to keep the name of a child witness confidential as well.
Right. And under certain situations, they may allow. It just depends on.
They may have to disclose. That's absolutely correct.
And of course, they're in support of that. Criminal justice, again, limited arrest for low-level offenses. Would prohibit a police officer from arresting a person based solely on alleged commission of a petty offense. A summons in lieu of arrest must be issued for all petty offenses except for petty theft, petty drug offenses, Class 2 misdemeanor traffic offenses, any comparable municipal offenses, and all municipal offenses or where there's no comparable state misdemeanor offense. And there's some other language in there that are talking about opposing that. It's going to create a lot of problems for the officers. Ensure equal pay for equal work. And that, I think that said everything that I have to say on that. This one was pretty well discussed. Restrict governmental non-disclosure agreements with employees about having NDAs for employees. That was pretty well talked about as well. They're talking about opposing that across the board. They didn't feel it was a good idea. Municipal Court Sunset First Appearance Defense Council Grant Program. The first appearance was created in 2018, and they want to extend that for another 5 years. I think you're pretty aware of what
Yes.
all about that one. Public alcohol, and drug impaired driving enforcement. Would provide funding for high visibility alcohol and drug impaired driving prevention enforcement HPE programs. Says here, CDOT funds high visibility enforcement for local governments and law enforcement agencies to conduct 12 enforcement episodes each year, which resulted in more than 7,000 impaired driving arrests in 2021. Right now, 81 law enforcement agencies across the state participate in HPE programs We have an officer here. Are we participating in the HVE programs here in Trinidad?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good to know. Existing funding, of course, will be exhausted by 2024, and they talked about supporting that. Opioid harm reduction. We're reversing negotiation that was placed in last year's fentanyl accountability and prevention that provided an affirmative defense for individuals who do not normally possess between and 1.4 grams of fentanyl. So it's like, I asked them, I said, how do they not know that they've already got that much in their possession?
Right.
You know, so that was talk about being neutral on that. Reporting of emergency overdose events. They're talking about, I think that's one. We provide immunity for a good Samaritan.
Nice.
Okay.
Good.
So if you're with a person that's just overdosed and
Yeah.
you have,
You report.
you report, but let's say you have
Been using.
or you have the more
Right.
drugs than
Yep.
the law allows,
Yeah.
that you have immunity from that.
Yeah. That's good.
Um,
In my humble estimation.
Possession of weapons, they're talking about support that, if amended, they need to amend that significantly. Possession of weapon by previous offender crimes, and they are talking about, what added aggravated motor theft to that list. They had a severance tax one that died. There's also 1127 would preempt local governments from creating laws and ordinances limiting or prohibiting the use of any form of energy to generate electricity in residences or businesses. That one has died as well. This one was a good one. Car sharing, taxing car sharing program sales use and ownership tax. That died. So that was ridiculous. This one here is still ongoing. Revoke carbon dioxide status as a pollutant. That's still a big deal. And allow temporary reductions in property tax due. There was slight discussion on that. And we have the Homestead Act that right now, if you're over 65, that you can apply for that tax exemption. And the question was, let's say the county decides in case that there was a real problem with the economy here in Trinidad and Los Angeles County, they could invoke this for a short period of time and reduce the taxable amount, but it does not, the Homestead Act. Good job, guys. Got everybody. Just got baptized, that's it. But what it would allow them to do is to reduce that tax temporarily, but they can also reinstall it, but it leaves the Homestead Act in place. That does not do anything with Homestead activity. They're also talking about repealing the retail delivery fee that was done last year as well. So I guess what happens is there's a retail fee that deliveries from Amazon and all these places, we're supposed to be getting a certain fee. Cheryl would have that answer, I guess, if we're getting any of that. Audra, do you know if we're getting any of those fees back?
I'm not aware of us receiving any of those fees.
Anyway, we'll have to ask her about that, but anyway, they're talking about they're repealing some of that delivery fee. So we'll see that, they're talking about opposing it, keeping it in place. That was it, and that was up to just a couple of days before we actually had the meeting. I'm sure there's a heck of a lot more that has happened since in the last 4 or 5 days. So,
Are those meetings still held Zoom?
they're Zoom and in person.
Are they?
I noticed that there were probably maybe 25 or 30 people there, and I would say that there were probably people from the Denver area, Castle Rock area, people that were closer. Whereas I think people in outlying areas, I think they were on Zoom. There was a lot of people on Zoom. Okay. That is all. Have some more, I'm sure, next time around. Mr. Ruger, do you have anything to report?
from there, just one thing. First of all, thank you all for allowing me to attend virtually, but it is good to be here with you all tonight. I just wanted to mention History Colorado is going to be down on March 8th for our Historic Preservation Commission's meeting to meet with them and do a site tour of Trinidad. That's why I brought up the Trinidad History Museum earlier. We have it scheduled for them to come take a look at that and hopefully work with us on some upgrades. So I just wanted to let you all know that they'll be in town, and we're excited to have them come put some fresh eyes on Trinidad and maybe give us some more funding as well. So look for that on March 8th. And then, of course, we have the council retreat this Friday. So that should be a very good time for you all to sit down and talk about some really good issues that we have coming up. And that's all I have.
Okay, and when the History Colorado comes down, do you know what time that meeting will take place?
The Historic Preservation Commission meeting is at 2:30 that day.
Okay. And just a reminder, on Friday, this Friday, it's at the Space Gray Project, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, Ms. Ray, that is correct, yes.
Mr. Downs.
No report, Mayor, council members.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Anything else further? Adjourn, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Right, first and second, call the vote please.
DeBona,
Yes.
Griego,
Yes.
Ogletree,
Yes.
Shu,
Yes.
Thurman,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Rico.
Yes. Thanks for attending.
Take care, Stu.